This is All Things Black with Garland and Calvin. I'm Calvin. He's Garland. I don't need to mention it, but we are here to discuss again the final season of Insecure. But this is episode 2, Growth OK. Garland, what's going on, sir?
Bro, feeling great. It's finally it's winter now. You know how we do in Maryland. It was summer all the way up to last week, and now we're in the full throes of winter. It's just chilly outside, but it's good though.
Yeah, man, but it's that weather that it's cold in the morning, but then in the middle of the day you get to sweating, and then it's just that weird weather.
Yeah,
That weird
yeah,
Maryland East Coast type of weather.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, just to remind everyone, if you do want us to see your comments in the chat, you will have to comment from the group page, All Things Black, on with Garland
Hmm.
and Calvin on Facebook, or you can comment from the Twitter page, or you can comment from the YouTube page. If you comment from my personal page, we won't see your comment live. We'll see it when we log off, and then we can reply to it then. But we definitely want to see you live. Also, pinned in the group is a way so we can see your name. If not, it'll just say Facebook user or YouTube user, something like that. So we want to see your name if at all possible. But anyway, as I mentioned, we're here to discuss the final season of Insecure. This is season 5, episode 2, Growth OK. And I'll let Garland get started, man.
Let's do this. Yeah, man. Growth okay. We're in our second episode. Some people say this was a slow episode, but we'll get into it. I thought it was very good. But anyway, episode 2, it picks up with Ali. Excuse me, I'm going to say Ali and Misa. With Issa and Molly 1 year later after the alumni weekend in the first episode, they went to alumni weekend, they hooked up with friends and all those things. And so we're a year later from that. And although it appears that they are back together as being closer than ever, both of them are at different points in their journey. And so let's start with Issa first. Now, although she was unsure of her future, at least professionally and personally, a year ago, Issa is blowing up. The block is doing well. It's planning and promoting a number of events. She has over 10,000 followers on Instagram, and she's pitching events to major corporations. And she has one event that was coming up that was in last night. It was the up and coming fashion designer, Crenshaw, played by our boy Kofi Cerebro, or Ralph Angel as we know him. And so the sponsor of the fashion show was skeptical about some of the details, and he had asked Issa to have Crenshaw remove some of those things from the show. And so initially, Crenshaw, he agreed, but he changed his mind a minute before the event, placing Issa in an awkward position. But it turns out to be great. They took a chance, and it worked out well for them. And so we see Issa really establishing herself professionally. And so this is a major change for this character. Normally, when we see Issa the last several seasons, Issa's just been all over the place, setting the apartment on fire. She's working as the maintenance person in the building. She's doing Uber and Lyft. So, what do you think about her growth from that year in that first episode, Calvin? How she's doing professionally.
Oh man, she is definitely come up. She's doing her own thing. She's actually, I mean, the Blow CC is
The
really
Blow
blowing up,
CC.
and that's a lot different than working with the kids back in season 1, and lifting.
Right,
Like she said, why she take the sticker off her car? She thought she was gonna have to go back to lifting and shit. But
right.
no, man, I think she's doing great. The growth is amazing. You like everyone says, you love to see it. Good for Issa. We all root for Issa. I'm a fan, so yeah, she's really doing her thing.
Yeah, she's as Ashley said, she's coming out of that gig economy. She's definitely, she's found her niche, and it's good to see that as a character of this growth of this awkward, pretty much an awkward black girl in the first season. Not really knowing what she should be doing or what she wants to do, to finally finding her voice and making deals. And so it's good to see her go that way. one of the things, and I was listening to a podcast earlier, one of the recap shows on Insecure, and they were talking about how this scene between the guy, the executive from the water company, from the bottled water company, had wanted them to tailor the show, and this thing about the altering of black voices, black expression, thinking they know better our audience than we know our audience. What did you think about that in particular of, basically the corporate always thinks that they know the best?
Yeah, it's more than for me than corporate always knowing the best. It's always falls back on who's in power, and it's the white face that are in power, and that's the one thing that we have to change. And if we've been trying to change, I don't want to sit here and act like people
Sure.
have just been sitting back. That's the one thing that we definitely must change, because as long as they're in power, they get to make the ultimate decisions. And kudos to Crenshaw for deciding, yo, I'm not conforming to this. I'm gonna do what I think is right. And Issa even said it at the beginning when they were trying to get other artists there. She was like, yeah, but they're not from the community. And that's what the people want to see. They want to see the community, and they want to see what they know. And we know our audience better than anyone else. And that shows who's in power, but it's also a comfortability thing, a knowing your own audience thing, because you could have, let's say, a black executive with the rock group, and trying to tell the rock group what their audience is. You know your
Right.
audience best. So I
Right.
appreciated how they showed that, but then they also showed that the executive, he saw that it was rocking, it was great, he enjoyed it, and there was no pushback after that. He basically admitted, hey, I was wrong, I'm glad you all showed me something different. And it looked like he had his little chocolate thing with him when he was rolling out, because
Right.
he,
Right.
like he said,
Right.
he got a really aggressive massage a little earlier.
Right, right. And you know what? And Deshaun mentioned this in the chat that, a lot of times money talks in that scenario. And I kind of related to hip hop and rap, where the audience is explicitly black, and we know our audience, and but when you got those corporate forces into what we were doing in our art form, then you start seeing really the watering down of the music to now where everybody sounds alike, where all of the imaging looks alike, or we want this person to be who we see or who we think is popular. We want them to kind of be a copycat of that. And so I'm glad that Crenshaw kind of stood out for, hey, this is my art. I know me, and I'm going to rock with me. Because yeah, Issa's trying to. She's got her foot now. She's in there, and it's easy for her to quote unquote sell out because she's got to work with these people. I gotta, these are going to be my customers, and this dichotomy or this challenge between what's art and what's right versus what the corporate voice is. I want to see how she handles that throughout the next couple episodes, and her relationship with Crenshaw and all the other people as well. As Ashley said, that it went from hip hop to pop, and we've been having this conversation about pop music in the office, and I've been saying that I am not a fan of Silk Sonic. And we're talking about pop music and all those things, and so Lil Man, that's in Silk Sonic, I think he's like the most poppy artist ever. Not Anderson .Paak is the other guy, and so hopefully Anderson
Blasphemy.
.Paak. That's blasphemy.
Blasphemy. You're about to, boy. Hey. I know this is all things black with Garland and Calvin, but like I've said before, the views that are expressed on all things black are not necessarily the views of Calvin.
I'm not a fan of Uptown Funk and all those, but we're gonna see what Silk Sonic.
He
I'm gonna
called
keep
them
the
the
door
Gold.
open. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the door open to see what the album sounds like. Okay, y'all, I'll leave the door
What
open.
album? They coming out with an album. They just brought
Yeah,
out
that's
their
what
second song after like 18 months.
they said. Album coming, so I'm gonna keep the door open for Lil Man and see what he do. All right. All right, and so let's go on to Molly. Now, on the opposite end, uh, although things seem to be going well professionally for Molly, they're good. She's struggling to find her sense of self. through her brokenness. Now, we see this specifically when she's completing a dating profile online. And the questions are, what are you looking for? And dating me is like. I mean, and then she starts going down back down memory road, memory lane with all the past mistakes that she's made in relationships, how she's, tried to jump out too fast. She's kind of been disrespectful, not honoring people where they are, not forgiving, and those particular things. And then also she has the double pressure that her mother's putting on her to get married. And so what do you think about Molly's struggles, particularly, this now Molly in the first several seasons, this is a person that has come off very confident, very strong, doing what she needed to do to make it to the top. She's finally learned how to be a part of the team professionally, but personally, she's a wreck.
Yeah, man. First of all, her mom is setting her up with a nerd, and I know women they try to avoid these nerds, but nerds run the world. Like whatever, nerds run the world, and y'all need to get with the nerds. They run the world. But yeah, everything. Molly's growing. She's starting to realize that the one thing, like you said, that's not working has been my relationship. So what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that I'm really looking for? What is it that I'm really seeking? And a lot of times, and I know women go through it, but men go through it also. When you get to a certain point in life, you feel like, hey, I got the job, I got the career, my relationship with my friends seem to be good. Everything's going smooth, but there's one thing I'm missing. And for Molly wants some love. I don't think she just wants that, one night stand. She wants love, but she's always wanted it on her terms. And I think she's starting to realize that she's got to give a little. And I mean, listen, everything's grown on her but her hair. And I seen that slander that y'all put out there talking about Molly look like Lawrence without a beard. And I
That's not true.
I do not. Molly is
She
a
looks good.
very, very attractive girl, and that haircut definitely sets her off. Something different. It gives her that maturity. I really like how you talked about it earlier, how they advanced it a year. That way, there's no questions anymore about the relationship between Molly and Issa, and they're both growing and mature. They are women now. They're not just women, but they're
Right.
women now.
Right.
And I definitely appreciate that.
Now, this is a question maybe the two of us can't answer as men, but let's take a stab at it. Now, why do we hold women to a different standard when they reach a certain age to get married and not men? You ever notice that, when a
I
woman
I
reaches
had
a certain plateau in life professionally, she's there, or she's, your eggs are drying up. When you get married, wear your ring, all those things. And maybe some of our sisters that's on the chat line, they can chime in if they face that pressure as well. But what are your thoughts?
so there's a saying, and the saying holds absolutely true that women get married when they can and men get married when they want to, and it is
Wow.
absolutely true. It's definitely tough out here for women, but that whole old school mentality that women are put on this earth to breed children. Women want a family. A lot of women grow up looking for a family. With men, we kind of grow up looking to see how many women we can get. Now, coming from a woman's perspective, I know a lot of women that growing up they've had these books with their wedding dress in it. They kind of
Mm-hmm.
cut and paste out of magazines, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of try to plan out their whole life and wedding. We don't do that. We collect baseball cards or football cards.
Right.
Our
Right.
posters. I had a poster of Apollonia, of Vanity. I had them
I
hanging
had
up
that.
in my room. So
Right.
that's,
Right. Right.
that's what I was cutting out. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Come on, son. I mean, I agree with you, and I like what Ashley said. She said number one is societal norms, and number two is the biological clock. You know, I agree with that because as men, I don't think we ever. I know, most men I know have never like dreamed of like, oh, this is how my wedding's going to be, and when I get married, I'm going to be dressed in this, and my bride is going to look this way, and all of those things. We just kind of fall into it. Like we look up one day, like, hey, I'm heading that way, and you end up that way. But I often find it myself, and I have to resist this because I do have two children in their early to mid 20s. And sometimes I feel inside of me, I don't know if it's this being a part of male society of like, hey, when y'all, I ain't getting no younger, when I'm gonna see grandchildren, or when, when y'all gonna get down the aisle. But I've done a good job of resisting that. But I remember my grandfather. I have an older sister, and he definitely, I think that was one of the reasons why she got pregnant and got married early, because my grandfather was kind of like advocating, like, girl, I want to see some great grandchildren and all that stuff. And so there is this pressure, and it's real, of what we put on women to move
It's real.
along. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
definitely real. I got a question for the women. It's something I saw in Insecure last night, and I've seen it in other
Mhm.
shows and all. I got a question for women. Y'all really just be sleeping in the bed with each other, like just chilling and
Oh, yeah.
putting fingers on each
Touching
other? Y'all
lips,
really be doing that? Because listen,
bro.
Garland, my dude and everything, but somebody gonna have to sleep on the floor. Like I
I
ain't no. When you was little, you could flip one would sleep backwards and all, but we grown. Like, I ain't
I ain't got
sleeping
no
with
pillow
man
for you,
nothing.
Calvin.
I ain't sleeping with
Yeah.
man nothing. Listen, you take these blankets and you go rest over there. I don't even
Right,
y'all really and be talking like that's just natural. Like, girl, like which so what we gonna do tomorrow? Y'all really be
bro.
doing that?
When I
Cause
first when I first saw it, I was like, "Whoa! Did Issa and Molly cross the divide? Are they lovers now?" Because at first I was a little worried for a minute. I was like, "Hold up! They just she got the pill. I mean, and they ain't like in a little full bed. They ain't in like a California king. It's a lot of space between you. They
they
like
was
up close.
literally
They
within
spooning.
arms. They was within arms. They can reach out. Issa literally did this to Molly.
Right, bro. Yeah. I
What the
was
hell is
like,
that?
yeah, I was like, whoa. Is they going to a new territory with well, I was there for it. I was like, all right, I'm here for it.
Hey, I thought Insecure got real secure.
Right, like, whoa, so that's what happens now. Okay, I heard that that's what happens now, that then
Yeah, just
since that black women are
just a
getting fed
question.
up, they turn into their sisters. I
Well,
that
I just thought, women are really comfortable in their sexuality, and like when they go away, excuse me, they just get the room with the queen bed, or if they get the room with the two doubles, they just sleep in one
right,
double and use the other double for
bro.
the luggage. They just.
I went away a couple years ago to one of the away Ravens games in Cleveland. Three dudes, we all got single rooms.
Bruh.
Bro, we didn't even share a room. We
Ain't
all
no
got
doubling up.
single rooms. There was no double.
Ain't,
My wife was like, "Y'all don't double up on." Like, no,
ain't
we
nobody
ain't
doubling up.
nobody doubling up. Everybody got their own room.
We not playing varsity and the school paying
Right,
for it. Ain't nobody doubling up. We
right. We not on
tripping.
scholarship.
Nah.
No.
Anyway, just a question. Just a
Okay.
question.
Hey,
Yeah, just a question.
BFF has more than just one meaning.
I'm not, the views expressed in all things black were Garland and
Telling you, BFF has more than one meaning, Calvin. All right, now let's get to Issa's personal life. Now we saw professionally she's doing great, and on the surface, looked like she was doing well personally in her personal life as well. It seemed like she had it in control, and we see that in her relationship with Nathan. If you remember Nathan from last season, they met, and it was kind of like Nathan was going through some mental health issues, but eventually they reconnected, and Nathan's been a friend. He was kind of side hating on Lawrence, like that that's
Kinda.
that's your dude. That's your king. That's who you want. You sure? He hit it with that. You sure? Him?
Light skinned dudes.
Light skin. It was like, he had a, do you want me or do you want him? Like, what? Him? Anyway, so don't, nah, he asked a legitimate question because Lawrence is, anyway. And so they are friends, and she's working with him on a plan for an event for his barbershop and all. And he's a person that she can talk with and bounce ideas off of. But, as an outcome of the tension that she felt at Crenshaw's premiere event, she goes ahead and she calls, Nathan, like, hey, let's get together, have a drink, let's talk. She needs some tender, loving care, some TLC. Brothers, that's the setup. When you get the extra invite that you don't normally get, go ahead, wash your little areas, get yourself together. You might want manscape. If you got, one of your manscapers, get yourself together and head on over there and be ready. And don't talk too much. Just let her tell you when it's time. And that's what my man Nathan did. Nathan played it good. Like, yeah, let me call this Uber. Let me go ahead and bounce. And she's like, well, won't you stay? Oh, sure. Like, bro, you knew when you got the text you was staying. But anyway, they go ahead, get in the bed, they start having a tongue fight. And Issa starts crying in his mouth, like she said. She busts out in tears. I'm not ready. Yo. Come on. So he go ahead, Nathan's a good dude. Hey, I'm here for you. She go ahead, fall asleep, Nathan. Yeah, it's time to bounce out. You already got the blues. You might need to go home, hit a little, cocoa butter, a little shea butter, get yourself together. Don't, so you don't tear your skin or nothing. Go ahead and get on home, take care, little man. And what is she not ready for, Calvin? That was kind of left open. She the one that left Lawrence. So what is she not ready for?
Well, personally, what she needed, and the curse of the light skinned dude is that you're always looked at as soft. Let me
The
talk
curse
into
of
this
the
camera
light
real quick.
skinned dude.
The curse of the light skinned dude is that you're always looked at as soft. We
Oh
saw her
Lord.
laying in the bed with Molly and just needing to talk to her girlfriend. So when Nathan came over, she needed to talk to her girlfriend. That's why they didn't do anything. She would have never,
Oh.
if that was a dark skinned dude, she would have never. All the dark skinned dudes that were in her life, she just kept coming back to them for the bodies. I mean, listen. The light skinned dude, she wanted to cry on his chest. Hey, she should have called my man L Boogie over there. Lawrence would have tightened up real quick. Then they could have talked about it later. Listen, Nathan is soft. I don't even know why he back on the show anyway. Although he was protesting, Black Lives Matter. We seen him get arrested and get, tear gas and taste. So I appreciate that. But that's his lane. His lane is to be a girlfriend, is to talk to her and, find out her feelings and emotions. That's why she felt so comfortable crying into his little light skinned bird chest.
Everyone, I want to apologize for Calvin and his colorism, his paper bag colorism that he's spewing on all things black, which is just not right at all. And
This this ain't all things light skinned.
it's all things Creole, and this is just not right. But I don't think it's a thing. And Ashley said it, to let the fuck boy go. She knows she's not ready, but she gotta move on. But I mean, to me, Lawrence, even in the previews, he's still looking shaky. Where you from? I think I'm from LA. I'm from somewhere. I'm
No,
from
no,
up. I'm from up my mother's ass. That's where I'm from.
no. You know what? I don't care what the title of next week's episode is. All I know is that Lawrence is in San Francisco. He about to get that rice roni, and he about to tell them chicks that he is the San Francisco treat. This is what
Mm,
I'm trying to tell you.
no,
Lawrence takes over San Francisco. Next week's episode, Insecure, episode
yeah.
3, the San Francisco treat. Okay.
He gonna be the San Francisco treat for Twan. That's what he's gonna be the San Francisco treat for.
I know.
We're gonna see Lawrence in the bed touching Chad's lips like
Listen,
my dude.
listen. Don't slander Lawrence like that. Lawrence has a history of every woman that he's dated in Insecure, he's knocked off. Every
True,
single one of them.
true,
Every
true.
single one of them. What
Yeah,
about Nathan? What about
he's a
Nathan? Nathan hit a dude and ran away. You know, they couldn't find him. They finally found him. What did he do? He ran away again. Come on.
Nathan's mental health, his mental wasn't all there, and so
Come
Nathan is the sensitive dude that's gonna listen to you and talk to you and be there for you. And yeah, Lawrence is just a dude that's going to bang your box out and then can't commit and don't know
No.
what he want to do in life.
Lawrence knows that he wants Issa, but because Issa's so wishy-washy, that Lawrence goes ahead and he tries to commit to the other women, but he just can't shake Issa. All the
Lawrence,
other women he's tried to commit to, and he just cannot shake Issa. I mean, canola oil came close, and he knocked her up. You know what I mean? He knocked her up.
go be a father to condone this child. He's about to be a daddy. He needs to focus on Condoleezza and be a father to Condoleezza's baby. That's what he needs to do. And Issa, just you need to move on, Issa. It's time. It's time. All Lawrence is going to do is take you backwards. That's all Lawrence is good for. He's good for some sushi. He's good for some fun times. And then when you start talking about the future, I bet you another baby gonna pop up or something. Some dude gonna pop up from San Francisco talking about Lawrence. You was the San Francisco treat when you was up in San Francisco, but now you down here talking about an Issa. I know we ain't
Lawrence,
going. I know we're projecting what's going to happen, but
Lawrence
I
is
see that
not
happening.
Lawrence is not gay by any means.
Mm.
I don't know why you hate Lawrence so much. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't
I
get it.
know. I know about 10 people that's Lawrence, and they all trifling. I just be like, how did they get away with this in life? And so this is real. I'm like, actually, Issa really caught a real person. These are real people. These fuckboys are actually exist. Like wow. Like wow. Like man, these gaslighters. It started with Harper Stewart and Best Man, and now we're all the way up to like Harper Stewart is Lawrence's dad.
I'm not caping for Harper Stewart. I'm not
Okay,
caping for
see, Harper
I'm not
Stewart was
caping
the
for Harper.
original F boy.
I'll
Am I
give you
right?
that.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give you that
yeah,
one.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that one.
And it happened to be
Lance was the man. Lance was the man and the
yeah,
best man. Like,
they're
we
all
getting off topic.
yeah. I know they all dark skinned guys. It's just so funny. These F boys, the melanin is very dark on these guys. Anyway,
like we
anyway.
ain't.
And so that was our episode last night. I thought it was a good, even episode. It sets us up because we're getting into the individual stories of each person. And so, as we see from the previews, we're going to be looking at Lawrence and what he's doing in San Francisco and how he's trying to establish himself. And we're probably going to see, Kelly and see everybody else as they develop as characters and all. And so Tiffany, and so we're looking forward to that. But overall, I thought it was a great episode. Your closing thoughts?
Yeah, man. So I agreed that it was a little slow, but it felt like a setup episode. They were a year later. You had to get some background on where Molly was and how her parents are handling her. You had to get some background on Issa and her journey. Looks like next week might be a little setup episode for Lawrence because it looks like they're going to concentrate more on him. So it's
Right.
kind of a setup episode because it's I expect it to be pretty emotional, pretty interesting when they start getting towards the end of it, because it's not just the end of the season, but the end of the series. So I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, Deshaun said this is random, but did you peep the callback to an earlier season with the hip hop flute player? Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, we were kind of talking about that last week of how some of the things that were happening at Stanford also relate back to Awkward Black Girl in terms of when Issa's always speaking, people when she's making cracks or she's making references, people are always just silent, like what is she saying? Why is she talking? But when everybody else talks, they cheer and all those particular things. And so, yeah, yeah, I want to see if they bring the guy that was the blood that was at the apartment building, if they bring him back and all
With the
those things.
vouch,
Yeah,
with the
with the bouch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, and if you watch Awkward Black Girl, he was in that as well. He was the guy that whispered in the office, like, hey, so yeah, yeah, it's so far so good, man. I think they always build up to a crescendo. Maybe I might feel, yeah, Thug Yoda. I might feel a little, different about Lawrence after I see next week's episode. Hey, just like my man Bruno Mars, I'm gonna leave the door open.
can't believe you called him the short guy.
Little guy,
Hey man,
little man. I'ma leave the door open. Little guy. Uptown, funk you up. Go ahead, Calvin. Funk it up with Uptown with little guy.
I'm not caping for Bruno Mars, although he does have one song that I really like. One
Okay.
song, slow song though.
One
But
song's
listen,
enough.
hey man, you got any thing you want to express to the people?
I'll let you go first.
Any? I got one. I got one, and it's real simple. So if you notice, a Ravens player, second rounder, got shot in his
Mhm.
calf over the weekend. But just to really quickly to tell how the media goes, so they say Baltimore Ravens player gets shot in his calf over the weekend. So immediately like, oh, here go Baltimore again, shooting everybody, this and that, this and that. But when you read the article, it says he was shot in Cleveland, well, right outside of Cleveland.
Mhm.
And it's like, can we include that in the headlines? Like, it's so much shock value that you're trying to get. NFL player gets shot in Cleveland. Baltimore Ravens player gets shot in Cleveland. But once you attach Baltimore and shooting, you give my city a whole another negative connotation that we don't deserve. He just plays for the Ravens. He ain't get shot here. Now it's a bad thing he gets shot anywhere. And I'm not going to sit here and act like Cleveland has the best reputation either. But still, let's stop throwing headlines out for shock value, because immediately you start thinking, oh, there go Baltimore again. You can't even play football in Baltimore and be safe. And that's not even the case. So
Right.
I just wish people would stop with the dramatic headlines. And I'm not just talking about Baltimore, I'm just talking about in general. And if you do see these headlines, it lets you know that you have to start reading the actual articles, because if you're just going by headlines, you could be misinterpreting the whole thing. The whole thing.
Yeah, Baltimore's has having a tough period right now. A lot of shootings, a lot of things like that, and so it's going to take a lot for our city to come back, and we need to get people back in the city. We need to get the city safe again and things like that. And so,
We're
yeah, we got a
trying.
ways to go. We're trying. We're trying.
We're trying.
I don't necessarily have something big to say, but I'm reading a book right now. If y'all can see that, it's Carmelo's book. All right, this is a great book. Carmelo's book, written with D. Watkins, who goes to my barbershop, very nice guy. Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised, a memoir of survival and hope. And so, although Carmelo was born in Red Hook, Brooklyn, he's from New York. He spent most of his formative years in Baltimore, in West Baltimore, living in the shadow of Murphy Homes. And so it's a great book, really chronicling, family and the transition of trying to start new and fight through addictions and health and poor schools and different things like that to really get to a point of being the first really creating generational wealth in your family. Come on, Ashley. He cheated on Lala. Stop, Ashley. That's not right. Oh my God. That's not right at all. I mean, anyway, I'm not making any statements about him and his marriage. I'm just talking about the book and the lesson that's in the book. So if you want to get a good book, this is a great book to read. Carmelo's book. It's a lot of great information in here. Carmelo talking about his life, some things I didn't necessarily know. Another fuck boy, yes. It appears that maybe Carmelo was or is, but Lala ain't gone too far because I guess that fuckboy contract still keeping her around for something. Right. So she hasn't strayed too far from that jump shot. Go out and get Carmelo's book. Actually, I hate her. I forgot she's from Gary, Indiana, so she's probably a Bulls fan. But nonetheless, go ahead, Calvin. What are you gonna say?
Hey man, listen. All I know is Carmelo's gonna get a ring with my Lakers this year. I know it's starting off a little shaky, but don't worry about it. They're gonna flow. He gonna get a ring with my Lakers this year.
Not
Book
this
it,
year. Not this year.
book it.
Not this year. Carmelo is like the Davis. He's he's like Charlie's husband, but he's less rapey. So
So, everybody, thanks for joining us with, with all things Black with Garland and Calvin. Don't forget this Wednesday
it's
we're
gonna
going
be
to do
live.
we're going to do a live broadcast of Queen Sugar. Speaking of Davis, we're going to do a live broadcast of Queen Sugar this Wednesday. So it won't be pre-recorded. We'll let you come in. We'll let you do have your comments just like we're doing now. And then, of course, when we come back around again next Monday, we're going to do season 5, episode 3 of Insecure. And of course, I think this is going to be the San Francisco treat episode with my guy Launch, my guy L Boogie here. So definitely join us. We got to get together and talk about what our next music battle is going to be, because my belt is, it's getting a little cold. It needs some heat on it. You know what I mean? We're getting in the winter. It needs to heat it up. So if you
I
all
got a
have any
potential idea for you.
suggestions, you got some. Okay, we need some ideas because it gets a little stale. I've won so many times that I can't even think of ways to try to help Garland win this belt back, because I'm constantly winning. I mean, DJ Khaled was thinking about making a remix of the remix for All I Do Is Win, because it was something like All I Do Is Win because I'm Calvin, something like that. We working on it, but he said we need to see after I win the next 4. Where you going? Wake up. Hey, but thanks for joining us. We will see you Wednesday when we do the live broadcast for Queen Sugar. And anything else, Garland? Anything you want to say?
Nope. See you Wednesday, everybody.
See you Wednesday, then see you next Monday. This is All Things Black with Garland and Calvin. I'm Calvin. He's Garland. Championship belt, y'all. See y'all later.